How's it going, everyone? Want to take you guys through a plethora of PlayStation updates, as it looks like there might be an old IP making a comeback in the form of a big new PlayStation exclusive. Really interesting, because when I initially heard about this, I thought this was going to be a re-release as a PlayStation Classic. Little did I know, this franchise had already been re-released as a PlayStation Classic. We'll talk about that, but it's also potentially PlayStation delving into a genre that they don't have a lot of established IPs within this genre, and it could add another layer to PlayStation's exclusive offerings. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, one of 2025's most anticipated upcoming game releases, has gotten an update on its release announcement, and I want to point your guys' attention to a brand new 2.5D cyberpunk RPG, Neon Blood, which will be out at the end of November. Game looks great, and I want to give you guys a heads up on that if you don't know about it. But right off the top, Siren has gotten rated on the Korean Games rating board. Now, when I initially heard about this, that Siren was rated on the Korean game rating board, I was like, oh, they're gonna re-release it as a PlayStation Plus Classic and bake it into PlayStation Plus Premium. You know, as a classic title, PS Plus Premium, it gets these games added every now and again, and, you know, offers value to the service. Little did I know, and I didn't realize this, Siren is already available as a PlayStation Plus Premium title, so this ratings listing probably isn't a re-release of the game, given that Siren is already available on Plus Premium. However, there are some other theories. Back in July, as noted on PlayStation Lifestyle, new job listings for PlayStation Studio Firesprite appeared on LinkedIn, and they were noted to be working on a dark AAA game with a heavy focus on art, animation, and delivering unique character performances to heighten player presence and immersion to new levels. Back in early August, there was a report by MP First that they claim Firesprite's horror game is a new entry in this said Siren series because they are working on a title that is within a pre-established IP. It's not an IP that is world-renowned and well-known to the extent of, you know, a Resident Evil or even a Silent Hill, but Siren is something that if PlayStation wants to establish a horror IP and bring back games that do have a little bit of a history, I do think that makes a lot of sense in terms of bringing forth a horror game, especially because they don't have a lot of titles within that genre. I get that they're re-releasing Until Dawn here shortly, but that's not really at the level of what I think a lot of people want out of Sony. A big budget title like a brand new Siren, I think that is something that a lot of people can actually sink their teeth into. Whether or not that comes to fruition, Firesprite is working on something that would link them to a brand new horror game, and if it's within a pre-established IP, Siren does make a lot of sense. This isn't a game that I played growing up. You know, my first foray into horror games, as I've mentioned before, was like Resident Evil 4, and that is like the most casual of casual takes, that RE4 was the game that not necessarily got me into horror games, but actually made me give the genre a shot, and I loved RE4, but yeah, obviously, there were a lot of horror games that were more so within the essence of horror that predate RE4. I'm very much a casual horror game player in that regard, so Siren wasn't a game that I got really into, but Firesprite working on a brand new one, that is something to certainly keep on your radar. Alright, moving on from that, Metal Gear Solid producer Noriaki Okamura apologized that they still do not have a release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. He noted that he doesn't want to make promises to fans that they can't keep. They said they are working hard on the game and to please wait a little longer. I would have to think that this game is going to be out sometime in 2025. The gameplay we've seen thus far has looked very, very good. Some of the gameplay, obviously, they're going to pick and choose portions of the game that are the most refined and the most polished, but it has looked quite good and a solid remake from Metal Gear Solid 3. Take all the time you need in the world with Delta Snake Eater, because Snake Eater is one of the most beloved games of all time, and for a lot of people, it is the best Metal Gear Solid game ever. It is very obvious, even when you look at it from a timeline standpoint, but also when you look at a game quality standpoint, why they picked Metal Gear Solid 3 to do the remake of. Metal Gear Solid 3 is absolutely beloved, and, you know, it has gotten some re-releases here and there with the Metal Gear Solid HD Collection. I can't believe they tried to finesse the game onto the 3DS, and they did release the game on the 3DS, but man, that frame rate on the 3DS version was a little bit jarring, to say the least. But a ground-up remake, this is going to, if it releases in 2025, which I believe it will, is going to be one of the most anticipated games of the entire year. And given that Konami is publishing the Silent Hill 2 remake, why compete with yourself and the PR that you're getting right now to announce a Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater release? Even at the Tokyo Game Show, like, you're gonna take attention away from a big title that you're about to publish. Let Silent Hill 2 remake come out, let that get its attention, and then as we get into the end of this year, into 2025, announce Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater for the mid portion of 25, or probably more than likely, in my opinion, this is going to end up being a fall game. Whenever it does come out, like, this is one of those games that I'm okay waiting on. It's a remake of a game that I already played, but I want them to get it right, because you know that there's going to be a considerably large new audience that's going to check out this game as well, because when did MGS3 come out? I want to say it was 2005, 2006. That is 20 years ago by the time MGS Delta Snake Eater comes out. You're talking about a new generation, a new era of literal gamers that have been born and that are going to be interested in a game like this, especially narratively and timeline-wise. This is a solid entry point. If you never played a Metal Gear Solid game in the past, you can jump into Delta Snake Eater and have a great time with it. I do really hope that at some point they go back and remake Metal Gear Solid 1, because, you know, it was nice to play that game through again in the Master Collection, but let's be real. PS1 games need a remake. I get it that Twin Snakes happened, but I'm talking about a modern, ground-up remake for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, maybe Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. I think that would be fantastic. But let's get Snake Eater out, and then maybe we can consider MGS1 getting a remake as well. At the very least, it's nice that Konami is delving back into doing new titles of their existing IPs, or even if they're not new games, remakes of their existing IPs. Like, when you are a publisher and you have Metal Gear Solid, you have Silent Hill, you have Castlevania, you have IPs like that under your umbrella, why not utilize them? If you're not going to outsource them to somebody else for them to utilize, why not develop new titles in-house? And Delta Snake Eater is going to do exceedingly well. Lastly, I want to give a little bit of attention to Neon Blood, a brand new 2.5D cyberpunk RPG. This is dropping on November 26th. Doubt that a lot of you guys know about this game, but it looks fantastic from a visual standpoint. You guys know that I'm a sucker for pixel graphics. You drop it in a cyberpunk setting as well. I'm going to be all over this. Really giving me vibes of Anno Mutationum, which is a game that I really enjoyed when it dropped. I had a great time with that game. From an aesthetic standpoint, that's where I'm drawing the comparisons to Anno Mutationum. Veritas, year 2053, growing inequality drives a bright city and blind city further and further apart until idealistic detective Alex McCoy starts a revolution to change the world in this fast-paced cyberpunk adventure. Alex McCoy, once a police detective, will become the key piece to unmask the whole plot of corruption and power that plagues the unstable peace of Veritas. Explore the stories of the city and its inhabitants, accompanying Axel in his mission to overthrow the established order and demolish the foundations of this corrupt society. The escaped member of the Veritas police force is extremely dangerous, and warrant is out for his arrest on sight. Thanks to confidential sources, it is known that he's assisted by a group of terrorists consisting of various characters. Veritas is noted to be a living city that tells its own story as well as keeping its own secrets. The city's inhabitants will be key pieces for Detective Alex McCoy to discover how it works with exploration. You've got a variety of combat elements as well. The city is dangerous, but you are not alone. Axel will gain allies along his adventure with whom he can face powerful enemies side by side. You can attack, use skills, and even objects before unleashing a powerful final attack where you'll see the pixel art at its best. You've got a great pixel art aesthetic with a marriage of 2D and 3D blending together. An elaborate and deep story with a cyberpunk theme combined with a turn-based combat style like RPGs with strong strategy factor. Two different realities, a big macropolis full of secrets to be solved with a complete dialogue-based detective system, and a lot of Neon Blood. Again, out November 26th. Keep this on your radar. A title that's coming out in the midst of a lot of big games coming out, although I don't believe end of November is insanely stacked, and generally speaking, like when you get into that Black Friday territory, usually it's more so focused on discounting the games that are coming in the next month or so rather than releasing new games, so Neon Blood might actually be out in a time where it's gonna get a little bit of attention as well. But that'll do it for me. Again, Siren, a brand new title in that franchise, might be one of PlayStation's major exclusives in 2025. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, as far as that game's release, I would imagine it's still 2025, but they don't want to make promises that they can't keep, which I do think is best case scenario, but hopefully we do hear something by the end of this year or maybe early next. And Neon Blood dropping November 26th. Keep that game on your radar. That's gonna do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.